All right, so as I told you guys, Walkers came out today. We're going to test both of these units. This is a high production unit, and I'm going to let them tell you about it because both of these are totally different, but both of them can have different attachments. This runs a bigger tire than that one, as you can see. This is a 61-inch deck. This is a 52, and I'll let you tell them about them.
So this is our Model H. It's our it's what we consider our high production machine. So this machine is really intended for wide open, high production area mowing. The Model H is a really special unit. The decks that the Model H runs are specific to the Model H. If you know much about walker mowers, you know that our decks are interchangeable. The decks designed for the H are specific to the Model H. It's a bigger platform. And so the decks we had to develop for it are just a little bit different and unique.
So that's all to pick the deck up with?
Yes. So this machine does have a power tilt option on it. We didn't get that unlatched. There we go.
I see. That's a pretty baffled deck.
It is a baffled deck. We do have a mulch kit option for it.
Right.
This front baffle comes out, and you put in a different mulch kit.
Okay.
We've spent a lot of time on specifically deck development. It's when we're developing new machines, tractor development takes a lot, but deck development and how a deck cuts takes a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort. And so you'll see on a lot of our decks, we tend to have a little bit more going on under the deck than a lot of our competitors.
What kind of pumps does this run on the wheel motors?
So this is running Hydro Gear 3400s.
Okay.
We run on the Model B, the smaller guy here, we run 3100s.
Okay. No, honey, just hold on. So this has a suspension seat on it also.
So the Grammer suspension seat comes standard on the Model H. It's an option on all of our other units, but it is a standard equipment for this.
Now, this has the same exact motor that's on my Hustler. It's a 37.5 horse Vanguard, correct?
Yep, so it's a fuel-injected Vanguard.
Well, that's easy enough. So has there been a whole lot changed? When did this mower come out? And as compared to what it is now, is it completely drive shaft driven except for this?
So it is PTO driven, yeah. So this is actually our PTO engagement. So this is our clutch.
Okay.
Our main jack shaft here goes to the hydros, and then from there, yeah, it's PTO driven to the deck.
Okay.
And so that's what lets us run snow blowers.
Right. You don't get that slip.
Yeah, attachments and implements.
You can put all the torque to it. It's not losing torque when you get in high intensity situations.
If you really overload it, you can get some belt slip, but you become aware of it really quickly.
As far as maintenance on these machines, would you say that they're easy maintenance? Is there a lot of grease fittings, or is this a high maintenance machine? What?
We do have a lot of grease fittings, and we're pretty unapologetic about that.
Right. Do people tend to do it right? In my case, most people tend to grease them too much.
Well,
they're either polar opposite. They don't grease them at all, or they grease them too much.
That is an option, or that is a possibility, and we definitely do see that from time to time. But as a company, our development, we came from, my grandfather was a farmer in western Kansas. Right?
Okay.
So farming is our heritage, it's kind of, it's in our blood, and so we have probably more grease fittings than most of our competitors. We like that. If you grease things regularly, they tend to last forever.
Are these just lights if something's wrong? So like if you need to service the engine, is that like off hours? So like if this gets to 100 hours, does this light up red, or what are these three?
So these are fault lights. So if you have high oil pressure or low oil pressure, cylinder head temp if it's too high, or if you have an engine code, this light will come on.
And what is this relay kick out for?
That's a fuse for, there's quite a few things that actually run through that.
Okay.
It is just a
safety fault.
Just a circuit breaker.
Right.
A resettable circuit breaker.
Okay. And I'm assuming this is your throttle?
That is your throttle, yes.
And this, you say, engages the PTO.
So that's your parking brake.
Okay, so park and brake.
Yeah, PTO's over here.
All right.
And we are starting to, like you'll see on the Model B, we're starting to go to electric clutches on some of our redesigned equipment.
Whereas everybody now has the little flip switch that you pull up.
And that's what we're doing. There's a.
So that one has it.
It does, yes.
Right. So this one,
does have an electric
this is normal. This is what most people do nowadays,
Right.
which is just a quick flip. It's got a clutch in the back that expands in the pulley and makes that clutch kick on. This over here is a hand mechanism, as you guys can see, where when you kick this on, it manually does it.
Correct. Yeah.
Works the same way, Wills. All right. Well, let's get one of these started up, and let's see. I'm going to let you operate them.
Okay.
Because I've never operated one, and I will try them towards the end. I don't want to look like an idiot up front
totally fine. No.
because I've never ran one.
How high are you cutting?
I cut at 4 1/4, but man, every deck I've ever seen in my life is either not exactly that.
Yeah.
So like I always measure the blades.
Yeah.
Just keep it fair. Like what I'll do is I'll get a tape measure. I'll measure from the bottom of the concrete, set my mower exactly where yours is at, and then we measure both blades.
Okay.
So give me a second and I'll do that. All right, so we've got this out. We're gonna measure the cut height. He set this on 4 1/4. You can see the pins here. You've got different lengths. They go in, it looks like 1/4 inch increments. Is that correct?
Yeah, top and bottom.
Okay, so you 1 1/2, 1/75, and that would be your top run here and your bottom run here. You can see here, he's got it set on 4 1/4, which is this pin. And so we'll measure this because we're gonna do cut quality between the two mowers. Let's get over here, Wills.
Video now.
You can, just give me a second, hon. All right, so this one is showing, you guys can see, about 3 7/8, which is about between 1/4 inch. Well, I'm guessing that concrete could not be perfect, but I'll pull my mower there. Let's go up one more quarter on there, and that should get us right at 4. Both of us will cut at 4. You guys can see how he's moving that. Pretty simple system. I've seen some real dumb systems in my lifetime. But anyway, I'm gonna let him drive this. He's gonna cut with it, and then I'll take and cut in a opposing stripe from him, and we'll judge cut quality. All right, so he's gonna come up this, and then I'll go down the opposite one beside him. No, you go. He's moving on pretty good with that. All right, so you guys can see there's a few scragglers. That's some pretty thick grass. Yeah, this is probably some of my better fescue and stuff in it. All right, let me go down it with the Hustler, and I'm gonna go on the opposite side of you.
It's good.
All right, so we're gonna measure the blade, see where it's at. His was at 4, he moved his deck up to 4 1/2. It was originally at 4 1/4, and that had it at about 3 3/4. So when he moved it up to 4 1/2, it should have been right at 4. Okay, we're right at 4. You guys can see there. Same spot, sitting in the mower, right beside his. All right, so this is in the opposing direction. You can see here, there's quite a few scragglers with the walker. Quite a few. This is Hustler's. I mean, it's like carpet. Super smooth. He did say he thinks his RPM are off a little bit. But I can tell you from cut to cut that the Hustler is much smoother. Its cut quality is just like when I've tested it with most mowers. If you cut anywhere above 3.5 inches, the Hustler shines. I mean, it has so much velocity under the deck. Now we'll go backwards and you can see the cut quality on the Walker. And it's really hard to get it in video, but this is Hustler and this is Walker. This is a side discharge. They do make the mulching heads, and this has several different decks that you guys can put on these units. That's a 61-inch cut. Mine's a 66. I think mine runs at 3,600 RPM. Do you know what these run at?
3,600.
3,600. I guess it's across the board, right?
3,650.
Okay. All right, we got that. So he's going to finish out this section with his. He's not real for sure about why it didn't cut as well. And so, in my opinion, I think that the Hustler just has extremely high lift, and it just manicures the lawn like nothing I've seen. And the 26s leave such a beautiful press in the striping of the grass and stuff, and the deck on the Hustler is very wide, so it gives you more press down as you go across. But the discharge on there works very well. You can see the discharge. It's shooting out extremely well. All right, so we're gonna shoot them both through this. This is literally 3 to 4 foot tall grass. And I know, these mowers, both of them, you can see the decks on them. They both have, that's 61, this is 66. But we're gonna see the discharge and how they do in really, really thick stuff in comparison. So here's this. This is gonna be like an extreme mower. So basically, I'll get in the weeds and start, and then you can come, like, I'll do this right. There's one spot that I won't go through that's already cleared, but that'll just help us move on. All right, so you guys can see the Walker here, and you can see the Hustler here. The Hustler is a much, much cleaner cut. I mean, this would pass in a heartbeat. But this is 3 to 4 foot tall. I mean, this is not stuff that people normally cut. I mean, it's very, very extreme on the cut. All right, so we're both going to come down this hill. As you know, a lot of people can't stop on this hill. Walker, on their mower, I reckon it can back up hills, which many mowers can't, so we're going to have him display that. But I'm going to come down first, and then he'll follow my exact same tire track. extremely impressive. I don't know many mowers that can do that. I can back up with the Hustler some, but not near as good as that can. That's like a little spider on the hill. That's super impressive.
What's that?
That's super. That's the first mower to do that. And that's all because it lets all the weight go to the center of the tire, correct?
Well, it's because we have.
So watch the rear tires come up, and then it starts to put the traction to the tires.
When you put the walker mower on a hill, we have mass behind our drive tires.
Yeah.
So when we tilt it forward, all of this mass is actually coming through our contact patch of our tire. So it increases our traction when you point the walker mower downhill.
Right.
It's the same reason, and your Hustler is really impressive for a mid mount, but all your mass is already in front of your drive tires, so you point it downhill.
Right.
Your mass of the mower is going to your casters. You can't
Right.
steer them or brake them.
Now I can
So
back
that's
up
why-
and not like I have to go real slow.
Right,
If
you
I
gotta be
try to
super
give it
careful,
much torque
right.
at all, and like I have to wait sometimes and kind of just press on it.
Right.
But like I said, I'd never seen. We've had John Deere, Exmark, all kinds of mowers there,
Yeah.
and by far, the Hustler and the Exmark were two of the best on the hillside. Period.
Yeah.
And Exmark runs a 24, which is super impressive to me because all the other ones with 24s couldn't stop. You know, as soon as they would start to slow down, they start sliding and just keep going. And so that was, for it to do that right there, I could see a lot of situations where that'd be super handy.
Yeah, and it's like we were talking about earlier, where engineering is a compromise. You know, we don't have the outright climbing performance that you do with a mid mount.
Right.
For the same reason. It's the reason why your mid mount will climb anything, because all your mass is in front. You
Right.
tilt it up. It's coming through your contact patch. If you can climb a hill with a walker mower, though, you know you can come down it safely,
Yeah.
which is really, we think it's really important.
Yeah, that is. Now, like on Exmark stuff, they're so light in the front end. If I've had them out here, if you try to go very fast up this, the whole front end starts to come up. Which the Hustler is one of the longer mowers, and so I like I said, I think it's centered well. I've not seen any of them that can back up on it.
I've never seen a mid mount that would be able to stop on that and back up. So.
Right. All right, so I wanted to display this on the walker. If you look here, my Hustler, when I get the deck off camber going at a 45, it will leave a little bit taller grass in this area because the deck can't compensate for the pitch in it. And so I was wanting to get the walker deck on there and see how its pitch was in comparison.
This would be why the walker mower cuts more grass. So look at the relationship between the deck and the tractor. They're at two completely different angles. So that transition right there, the deck is cutting grass that you're missing with mid mount.
Right.
We're not actually cutting grass right now, but
You see this right here? This is what he's talking about. So like mine, when the deck hits, it has to switch the one side to compensate for the other. So where this is going to give you the advantage is you're going to have, if you get in these transitions to where this mower can camber, it can camber to a hillside better. Now this is a 61, mine's a 66, but I still think that the way this deck's set up, it's going to be able to cut that out. Whereas mine, you can see it left it here. See on the deck there how much taller that is where they're going to cut it? And we're both set at the same cut height.
So look at the deck compared to the drive tires.
You guys can see what he's talking about. See how pitched?
If this was a mid mount, this doesn't exist, let's say. This would be for your drive tires and your two casters. It's a rigid frame. So that's what, like on inconsistent terrain, that's why they rock.
Right.
Or that's why you miss all this.
Right.
But because our deck articulates independent, the deck is already articulated when the tractor,
Right.
when the drive tires are not yet. So that's
My front tires sometimes will come off the ground in this transition. Like one here and one up there. There's two spots that I always notice that it really, really it's like 2 inches that one of the front tires will come off. And as you can see, both tires are touching and the rear tires are touching. The whole thing's separate from the actual main frame of the mower. Cut it and let's see it. See that tall patch there? My Hustler can't get that on a 45. Now when I go straight down it, it can. But he's gonna bring his mower through it and cut it and show it cutting that out. Now see, it's still left a little bit, but not nearly. And you can see him going on the hill. His rear tail kind of slides sideways a little bit. But it looks more manicured, whereas you see right there, it's the same thing on my Hustler. It leaves that transition of grass. See it?
I mean, and that's just a tough transition.
Right.
For anything, but we're still cutting grass that gets missed.
Right. So I know a lot of you guys at the show didn't understand why the guy wanted me to pick the deck up. The reason he wanted me to pick the deck up is because this can free float, as you just seen. So it has these springs here that hold weight off of the deck, so it's not completely pressed in the ground when you go over like these divots and totally uneven terrain. This terrain here starts out flat, crooked, then goes back over. So it's just a completely jacked up scenario. But this, when he took the springs off, what he was doing was showing the dead weight of it. And what that causes is more press down, whereas this right here right now has the load taken off of it, so it can transition much easier and cut the grass flatter. It's not going to show anything like that on flat ground, but when you start getting into things like this, that's where it's really going to shine.
You know, like
Right. So Kyle's going to tell you more about it to make it sound better.
the counterweight springs that Ben is talking about, we're doing two primary things. One, yes, we're taking weight off our front casters. So it lets the deck contour easily. It's going to be more nimble, more agile. I want to say more importantly, but also what these counterweight springs are doing, we're actually pulling weight from our casters. So that weight that we're taking off the front casters is actually being transferred to our drive tire. So it gives us more authority with the drive tire, and just more overall traction, better hillside performance is impacted, but even just flatline mowing, your ability to decelerate aggressively without losing traction, your ability to do tight, like in and out detail work around landscape features, things like that. The machine's gonna be a lot more responsive. But so yeah, that's the purpose of the counterweight springs.
Nice. So I've got the water hose out wetting this, and what I'm going to do is get the grass really wet, and then I'm going to let him cut it when it's wet, and I'm going to do the same thing with the Hustler on the other side of it. Both of us are going to come up beside each other. We'll have to do it at separate times, but it'll give you guys a wet cut out of the walker. Looks like a pretty clean cut. So another thing I wanted to display is this Hustler mower is long. Now that's really great on hills and stuff, but I always try to show you guys the disadvantages. And this right here, if you look, my rear tires are setting in this spot here, but if I try to come up in this, my front tire is always going in the rocks. So to get this spot here, I have to pull forward and back the deck in. Now we're gonna see if this one can get its deck in there without having to pull up and back its deck in, as for the Hustler does. This is just a really tight area, and this is an extremely wide mower. So you have to do the same thing, don't you? Yeah, same way. So basically, that's just that's an inverted nook, so it's past where your straightaway is, and I have trouble getting in there. I haven't tested other mowers in that though, but I'll continue to do that to see if there's any mowers that can get up in there. I would think maybe the John Deere could, but I'm not really sure. So he's going to show how this can go on a hill and spin, as in if you get on there and you need to turn around, which isn't what a lot of mowers can do. A lot of mowers, if you would try to turn like that right there, the mower would either keep going straight forward or it would slide around. Now this mower only weighs 800 and some pounds.
14 to 16 depending on deck.
So this one here would be 14 to 16 depending on deck.
Depending on what deck, yeah.
And this one, what
You're
would
going to be 19 to 21.
Okay.
Depending on horsepower and yeah, deck.
What other horsepower options do you
So
have?
we use a 27 Kohler in this as well.
Oh, really? Okay. So the base is 27 Kohler, and it goes up from there.
So 27, 37, and then we do the 24 Kohler diesel in this as well. And the diesel is going to be about 25 now.
And what is the diesel? Is it a Kubota or is
It's
it?
a Kohler diesel. Yeah. It's
Oh, really?
It's
I think
a
I've seen that at the
it's a
show.
Liter, yeah. It's that on the side of my trailer. That H right there.
This H, that's what he's talking about. It's got the diesel on it. I just wanted to give you guys my final thoughts. I drove the walkers at the end. Very odd deal compared to something that you're used to having the levers on. The walker has two handles that steer each wheel in the center, and you tend to work those with one hand. And then on the right side, your right hand gives it the propulsion forward. And it was odd to learn how to work that. But nonetheless, they were very extremely nice about bringing that stuff out. Kyle Walker, who is the one that brought all that out. Extremely good guy. The equipment's made in America. I'm not sure what was going on with the mower, but neither of the mowers cut near as good as my Hustler. I've been very happy with my Hustler's cut quality, and Kyle said he didn't understand what was going on. He had talked to several other people that cut it the same height that we were cutting, and they said that it cut just fine. My grass is extremely thick in a lot of places, and it's very well taken care of. So when you're cutting in it, it's not like a lot of grasses where your deck has a lot of time to recover. It's taking on a lot of grass the whole time you're cutting, and so if it can't discharge it or get rid of it as well, it's gonna not cut that spot. And when I was watching the walker cut, it seemed to cut just fine. It was discharging just fine, but it was leaving a whole lot of stragglers, whereas the Hustler, and you can really tell how well the Hustler does discharging and cutting when you look at that field example. That field was extremely thick. Nevertheless, I've never seen a mower. I drove that walker on a hill, and it doesn't go up very well. It doesn't go up near as good as the Hustler, but it will go in reverse on the hillsides like nothing I've ever seen. So to me, I'm not for sure what the walker advantage would be for a homeowner or someone like that. But you guys can decide that and decide what you think about it. Hopefully this video helps a lot of you. I know a lot of you are interested in walker, and at the GIE, they did claim to have the best cut in the industry. And so you guys can be the judge of that. I really like talking with those guys and trying out the mowers. But anyway, I hope you guys have a good day. Thank you.